I'm Mike Lindell. You may know me as the extremely successful, extremely business genius, and extremely godlike creator of My Pillow. Not to be confused with Meow Pillow, a company that makes anime cat girl body pillows that apparently leftist perverts have sex with. Anyways, I have a message for the American people. We're not going to let the Democrats steal this election by counting votes, doing simple math, and then claiming victory. No, my friends, we are going to send these mathematicians to prison. These Democrats want to let democracy get in the way of the voice of the people and even stand in the way of God's will. I saw that Iran actually announced they are developing like whatever level 2 centrifuges or something, some shit they were forbidden to do by the nuclear deal. That is
here comes
still...
the end of the world.
No, well, I mean the deal still exists between Iran, France, Germany, and UK. I think the US is the only one that pulled out, but we are also the ones that have the most weight to throw around.
Right.
Deal. So, I think, and then of course with Israel assassinating this guy, it basically, it seems to me that they're pushing to start war as soon as possible, like within the next month, before Trump, before Trump leaves office, before Joe Biden can come in and try and, salvage the deal or whatever. But,
I just don't like. This is going to be a fucking disaster. Like on a level that, like, that's like I keep thinking like I don't understand how Joe Biden is going to be able to do anything. Meaning, not just like whatever, like the likelihood of like a Republican Congress or whatever, all that, like internally, right? Not him not being able to do anything, but like Joe Biden's like whatever his like ability to be like to like do diplomacy or whatever, but, like backed up by the president that's brain is leaking out of his ears that can only go on TV once a week because they have to shoot him full of fucking like adrenaline in order to like. It's like it doesn't. It just the whole thing is very like, oh, this is dark. Like this is gonna get real.
Why they've got all the ambassadors and stuff. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about Biden's even his own personal ability to do anything. It's all about who he surrounds himself with. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, shit.
Yeah, but there still has to be some. I mean, I get. Never mind. I guess now that it's like now that Trump's been president, it doesn't matter who else is president from now on. Like because like nobody. It's like the entire world is just going to be like, yeah, well, I mean, look at them. That's fucking like. What if they? What if the My Pillow guy? Like, do they know who that is? Do they know who the My Pillow guy is? Because like he's gonna be the president. They should probably start researching him. Like
they're like, they're like, well, so why should we uphold this deal? You say you want to get back into it, but what if you guys, elect SpongeBob SquarePants in 4 years, and then
who would be a great president, by the way,
and he decides to cancel the deal. SpongeBob would never cancel the deal though. But like if we elected like Darth Vader or something like that, maybe.
Right. Some fucking although he's dead, rest in peace to the guy that was in the Darth Vader suit.
Depends on what movie you're watching. He's very alive and well if you're.
Yeah, that's true. Like we should get like it's like that Black Mirror episode where they they elect that like that guy that plays like a profane cartoon dog that's like on the side of a van or whatever.
I never seen that episode. I haven't watched a lot of that show.
Well, my thing was like, yeah, do that. It's the same. It would be exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
Like because the real guy that is the voice of that character or whatever the fuck was the president, kinda, right? But it was never him. It was just like his character, right?
Mm.
It's like we should do that with presidents forever, right? Like because that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
It's not
have like an anime president.
yeah, or like a fucking or SpongeBob or you know what?
Well, I mean, no. We could have because I mean, yeah, I mean, all these politicians are putting on a facade, playing a character, anyways. Like they're not being the fucking real selves most of the time. So why not have the actual people vote on like a character? And like the writers of that character are the ones who get to control shit, and they basically make like episodes of like whatever show showing off the character of the person.
Adventure Time, the president. Yes. When I went through my like thing of like being like I don't know, like 20 and giving in fully to irony, and then wondering like, wait a minute, is like Korn actually good? Is like Limp Bizkit actually good? I had this whole time where I was like downloading these records and being like, is this good secretly? Right? And every time it was like, well, the band is good, right? Like it's like every time it's like the band is good, but the front man is absolute dog shit. Like they write the worst lyrics I've ever heard. I can't get past it. Like, and
if you're getting into that like era or genre or whatever, Rage was the only one that did it right.
Yeah, like, and they're ripe for making fun of too, right? Like like the Cum Boys, they were making fun of Killing in the Name of. Like, fuck you won't do what you tell me. Like, okay. I remember why I liked this when I was 12, because fuck you. Like, it's even in like Zach De La Rocha's voice sounds kind of like a little kid yelling at you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it like that whole period of time, it's like, yeah, when Rage Against the Machine is the best band to come out of that whole era of music, there's a problem. Like, they're good, don't get me wrong, I like them, but like, it's like, but that's the pinnacle, and everything from there is just grades down. It's just like, they get like a B plus and everybody else is D's and F's, and it's not what. Because I figure once we get to like the Giuliani stuff or whatever, that'll be where I like my coherence will have devolved into slurring, slurring in the not racial way.
You get really drunk and you're like very articulately yelling racial slurs at me from it's like he's really slurring all of a sudden.
Why is he but that's just being a drunk racist.
Yeah.
Like that's all that is. It's not it's not some kind of new I invent a way of being.
All right, so we've warmed up. What has happened the past couple years, couple weeks,
couple straight up like
years?
Yeah, do you know? Like I was thinking it's like what I don't remember when the last time we podcasted was, but it feels like it has been months.
It was right before Trump did his weird little tiny desk concert. You remember that?
I mean,
it seems like a year ago.
It was so small. Why was the desk so small? Why? Like, he let that happen.
And right? Well, my theory, I got a theory. It's to make his hands look bigger. He just figured it out. He just now figured it out that his hands will look bigger if they're laying powerfully on a tiny desk.
Well, it'll also make the rest of him look bigger, but...
Well, he's fine with that. He wants to look big at this moment.
Yeah, but comically so, right? He's a big giant sitting at a child's desk.
Would you expect anything else right now from this administration? Anything other than comically so anything?
He didn't think he looked stupid. That's what I wonder, right? It's like, it was just like, oh, this is the desk, like, fun, yeah. Like, I also want to know, all right, so the lady that Rudy Giuliani clearly farted on, does she have coronavirus?
Dude, she is so famous, all of us, like, and the fastest I've ever seen anyone be that famous.
Well, like, did you? I signed a paper.
Did you do something to it? I bet you did something to him.
I signed a paper that said I would go to jail. Did you?
You know, she went to jail recently for sending sex videos of herself and her ex-boyfriend to her ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend. Like, as
did not know that.
Look at how he fucks me. Just look how he's fucking me.
Fuck. Like, that's okay. So these are their two hot star witnesses: a person doing revenge porn on themselves, and a fucking and a ghost hunter.
And a ghost hunter?
Yeah, the guy. I can't remember. Like, there's a dude in there, right? And it's like, oh, well, his claim to fame is that his house was haunted, and he is quoted as saying that he won't raise his daughter in a haunted house.
Oh, right? I heard about that. Yeah.
Then he became an amateur ghost hunter, and now he's a voter fraud witness. Fucking, like, just, and then as if it couldn't get any more ridiculous, why the fuck wouldn't Rudy Giuliani talk over his own farts? All he had to do was keep talking.
Well, they also had the lady on there saying, like, some people say all Indians look alike. I'm Indian. I think all Chinese people look alike. So how are we going to verify any votes if that's how it is? They're like, what? think that is held up even more true than when I said it before. But back in the early days of this pandemic, probably March or April, whatever, I declared older people, anyone over the age of like 60 maybe, that's
Oh yeah.
roughly my cutoff, are not going to fucking handle this shit at all. Their brains cannot wrap around it because they've lived for too long without this ever happening. So
Right.
to them, it seems like something that is unreal. It's not. It's not.
Or it's like we'll
They
deal
can't.
with it.
They can't put all the pieces together to say like, okay, this is something real I need to fucking worry about and all this. It's like, whatever. The brains are rejecting it based on the perspective that they've had for their entire life of this being not something they have to worry about.
Well, yeah, and of like other, whatever, like if you think about like the Ebola thing or like SARS or all that other shit, right?
Yeah.
It was like I remember hearing about that shit and thinking, fuck you, I'm never gonna get, like, it's like I'm never going to get any of those things ever.
Right. Well, they never made it even seem like it was like that big of a scare for people to
Well,
get
right,
it.
that's when I started being like, oh, okay. Like when they shut down, like when my wife came home from school and was like, hey, there's no more school. I was like, oh, this is very serious.
Right.
Okay, all right, I get it. Right, and it's like, and and that's the thing is, with our generation and younger and maybe slightly older, right? It's like, oh, it's another once in a lifetime horrible thing that will fuck up our lives. Oh yeah, we haven't had any of those, right? That's
Yeah.
not been our whole lives, right?
Right. Here's a hot take. I mean, the all of the quote unquote rioting and looting of the summer got a fuck ton more attention than any fucking peaceful protest did.
Oh yeah,
You can say all day that the peaceful protesters were the ones who were right, and everybody else is all criminals, and they are the ones who should be prosecuted and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if we had nothing 100% but 100%, peaceful protests all summer, people would have stopped paying attention to that shit back in fucking whatever, June or whatever, whenever, I can't remember. The timeline of this year is ridiculous to me, but
yeah.
whenever whenever the
Whenever
original
it
like
popped
George
off,
Floyd thing happened and the
yeah,
protests really first started, that like that moment would have been that would have been it. It would have
yeah,
died off. The killing of George Floyd video would have went viral, of course, as it did. People protest. If it had all stayed 100% peaceful, no looting, no rioting or anything,
yeah,
then people would have it would have been done after that. It just stopped.
right.
But the fact that people were agitating just enough to keep that shit in the news cycle and to keep fucking angry rich white people yelling about it on the news.
Right. And
that actually kept it fucking going for a long time.
I would also argue that the seeming like misstep or, like, I don't know, like marketing faux pas of defund the police or abolish the police, right? That shit kept people talking about it forever, if only to argue about whether or not it was a good slogan, right?
Yeah, like it's I mean, even if it starts off as like, well, they're talking about defunding the police or whatever, and then you start the conversation with, well, what does that really mean? What do they actually mean by that? What's a good way of actually addressing this issue or whatever? And then you just start the conversation from there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you can, like, in 2020 has shown to us that certain extremes, which seemed ridiculous or outlandish in the past, might actually be the way to get some things done sometimes.
Well, it's actually, this is the thing, right? Is that we've been conditioned by Democrats and the sniveling, just piggish fucking, pain pig fucking, like, oh please, like the negotiating against themselves, fear-based bullshit ass third way bullshit.
Please, Republicans, can we please insert a movement in this bill that might possibly
could we perhaps give some people money if they especially are fucked? Please, like, somebody eventually, especially at the genesis of the defund the police movement, realized, like, no, you have to begin negotiations at a point that they will never agree to. That's how it works. You start way over here, they start way over here, and you work your way towards a compromise in order to move the conversation in your direction, right? Like,
and it gets more people talking about it if you start in a more extreme position also. So you say, like, abolish the police or whatever, and then all of a sudden people are like, well, hold up the fuck up. What are you talking about? Where if you talk about police reform, people are like, that sounds boring. I'm not interested.
Well, and it sounds like the same fucking thing everyone's been talking about for years and years.
Protests in France, they were lighting it up there recently.
Yeah, and I heard they got concessions recently too. I can't remember what they are or what even the protest itself was about, or.
So it was about new police laws. They made laws that said that police were not allowed to be filmed. And some other shit, I think, that was kind of along the same lines, and people were
burn it down.
Yeah. Just to show you that the shit that we deal with here is going on elsewhere too, in other forms,
Mm.
not in an American way.
Didn't India had like the largest strike ever?
Yeah, that was also something I wanted to go over. They had the largest general strike of all time, um, at least as far as anyone knows, and that's it was all based on some laws that Modi was trying to enact that were gonna like basically fuck over small farmers and small landowners in the benefit of corporate farms and corporate agriculture. I believe. I think that was the gist that I got. Was basically it was a very agricultural based thing. But when you have a population so huge, wouldn't be surprised if any major
Yeah, any strike is the largest strike.
Yeah.